Good morning. Good morning. As you get here, go ahead and say hello and let me know that you're here. Give me just a second to do some of the back end things. All right. Now let me pull this up on my phone. You have to excuse me. I've got a little bit of some sinus stuff going on this morning. All right, there we are. Beautiful. One more thing, and then we'll get started. All right, all right. It's a beautiful day here in Georgia. It's the pollen's quite intense, but man, oh man, is it beautiful outside and everything's blooming. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you're here with me today. And I would love it if you would just kind of let me know that you can hear me, that you're here, say hello, and we'll just keep on going. So just pull up a chair because I want to ask you something before we dive in. And I want you to actually think about it, not just give me the right answer, right? How many times have you said to yourself, I know what I need to do, I just don't do it? Let me check and see here really quickly. All right, just want to make sure I'm addressing everybody as we go. So once again, how many times or have you ever said to yourself, I know what I need to do, I just don't do it? Yeah, me too. And I spent years thinking that that meant something was wrong with me, that I needed more discipline. I mean, depending on who you're listening to, that's a biggie, right? Just more discipline, more motivation, more willpower. But today, I want to show you why that story isn't true and what's actually going on underneath that. So, here's something that blew my mind when I first really understood it. Not just heard it, understood it. Your conscious mind, that part that sets goals, makes lists, makes plans, reads the books, listens to the podcast, the part that's figuring out exactly how to do everything, that part makes up about 5% of your mental activity. Just 5%. The other 95%, that's your subconscious. And that's where your beliefs actually live. Your habits, your patterns, the stories you absorbed before you even had words for them. Hold one second. Sorry, my allergies. So when you're trying to create change through willpower alone, with motivation, with sheer force of the personality, you're trying to move a 95% of the iceberg with 5% of the iceberg. And then we wonder why we feel exhausted. Now, this isn't a character flaw. This is just how minds work. Every human mind on the planet works this way. the CEO, the monk, the woman who looks like she has it all together, all of us, we all work just like that. And the subconscious is not your enemy. I don't want you to think that. It's doing exactly what it was built to do. Now, here's what your subconscious mind is designed for: keeping you safe. And you've all heard this. You know this. We've talked about this before. But it's something about hearing things over and over and over that finally sometimes it's like something will click. Some reason it hits differently. So remember, your subconscious mind is designed not to keep you safe, not to keep you happy, not to help you have a fulfilling life, not to make you successful, safe. It is only there to keep you safe. And it's learned what safe looks like a long time ago. Most of our core subconscious programming was formed before we were 7 years old. Before we were 7 years old. Before we could think critically. Before we could actually question things or understand sarcasm, right? We just absorbed everything that we saw, everything we heard, what we felt, and our subconscious filed it all the way as this is how life works. This is who I am. So if somewhere along the way you absorbed the message that money causes problems, or that wanting more is selfish, or possibly that people like us don't live like that, your subconscious stored that as truth, as the way things are. And then your adult self comes along with a vision board and a goal and a really good podcast and says, we're going after this. This time we're going to do it. And your subconscious says, let's let them play for a while. But it's not going to change. Because we're not going to, because that is not safe. I know what safe looks like, and that's not it. And so it does the miraculous job that it does. It keeps us right where we are. Because remember, it doesn't matter how disheartening where you are is, or lacking where you are is, or if it's like miles away from where you want to be. It knows you can survive this. And this is why willpower. Even though we really want it to, right? So I love this analogy, and I've shared it before because I heard someone say it, and it just really hit home for me. So I can't take full credit for it, but it's so good. So in actuality, trying to change a subconscious belief and behavior, because belief creates behavior, with willpower is like trying to update your computer's software by tapping on the screen. You can tap gently, you can tap harder, you can tap with both hands, you can yell at it. Nothing is going to change because you're working at the wrong level, the surface level, the conscious level, right? The software isn't on the screen, it's in the code. To actually update the program, you have to get inside the operating system. So does this resonate? Do you have any questions? All right, so this is the moment right here that I'm going to be vulnerable and real with you. I'm going to tell you something personal. There was a time when I was working incredibly hard, doing all the things, saying all the right things, and I still felt like I was pushing a boulder uphill every single day. And I kept thinking, what is wrong with me? I know better. I teach this. And what I eventually came to understand was that knowing and believing are not the same thing. My conscious mind knew, my subconscious believed something completely different. And until I addressed the belief, not the behavior, not the symptom, the actual belief, nothing changed in a lasting way. And that's when everything shifted. Not when I tried harder, when I went deeper. And one thing that showed up just recently, and I was sharing this with someone at my book club I was at yesterday, but I've always been a person that I said, I don't like naps. I'm not a nap person. If I take a nap during the day, it's because I'm sick. I'm not taking a nap. And as I was working on a lot of this stuff right now, as we're getting into the workshop that's coming up, and I'll share a little bit more about that a little bit later. But I was thinking, is that statement really true? I've said it for years, and there are times that I feel a little bit like I want to take a nap, but I fight it and don't take a nap because I believe I'm not a nap taker, because I believe that it makes me more tired to take a nap. And so I decided to really dive in and question that. Is that really true? So I started looking back when I was a young child, when that I could remember nap time. And when I remembered, and it's not like it was a repressed memory, I've talked about it and everything, but I didn't connect the two. And so when I was young, I have a sister that's 2 years older, and on Saturdays my mom was working and my dad would be at home with us. Now, you know how children's memories are. It might not have happened every weekend. I do not know, but I know he kept us on Saturdays. And when it came nap time, I didn't want to take a nap because I wanted to know what was on TV. I wanted to not miss out on things. I thought I would miss out on something. And so my sister, she was so smart, she would just go lay down. Me, I would beg and I would plead and I would get up and I would do all these things. And he'd end up spanking me and putting me to bed, and I'd end up crying myself to sleep. And then when I would wake up, my sister would already be up watching TV. So in actuality, the reason I don't like taking naps is because I know I'm going to miss something and it's a punishment. So why in the hell would my subconscious mind say, you're a little tired, take a nap? No, it's punishment. You're going to miss something. And so now I'm working on changing that dialogue in myself. Yes, as a hypnotist, I still work on myself, but I'm changing that frame of who I am. I've always said I'm not a nap taker. So I'm not saying that anymore. Can you relate? And it may not be naps that you have avoided because of something, but maybe it's something else, right? So I was just talking about the subconscious, and I wanted to say hello. I see I got some new people that have popped in. You can say hello if you'd like. And I know some people are watching from work and they can't interact, and that's perfectly okay. And if you're watching the replay, make sure you put hashtag replay. Let me know that you're here. And then ask a question, make a comment, and I promise I'll come back. And I will make sure that I respond. So if tapping the screen, like we just talked about a moment ago, does not work to change the operating system, what does? You have to go where the beliefs actually live. You have to access the subconscious directly. And there are ways to do that. Hello, Ellen. Hello, hello. Good to see you here. So there are ways to access the subconscious directly. And that's what I'm working on right now with myself about the napping. It's not like I really am desperate to take a nap because it's been something I've avoided my whole life. But I'm changing the frame so that it's an option if I choose it, right? It's no longer going to have this punishment and loss attached to it. So the ways that we can affect the subconscious mind is with hypnosis, which is one of the things that I do. Deep visualization, I do that as well. You could actually do somatic work. But the key is you're not fighting the subconscious. We're not trying to overpower it. We're having a conversation with it. You're showing it that there's a new way of being safe, because remember, that's the goal of the subconscious mind, is to keep us safe. And anything that you've survived, no matter how bad or how good, it thinks is safe. Safe is your subconscious mind's goal. So we just start showing it that there is a different way to be safe. And when you do that, change doesn't feel hard, because a lot of times people think that change is like white knuckling your way through just another Monday, right? It'll actually feel like relief. And one of my clients, one of the things that she said after we had a session was she had been white knuckling going to networking events, and she hated it. She'd break out in a sweat. She didn't even like the trip there. She was concerned when she would wake up the day of. She was a keynote speaker, but hated networking events because everything wasn't rehearsed. She would hang out on the back. If anybody came up to her to talk to her, she would break out in a sweat and not wanting to talk. It was an ordeal that she dreaded like crazy. So we worked together. And the thing that she said to me that I thought, wow, this is so cool that she experienced that, was she said when she woke up, she didn't even consciously use the anchor or consciously do any of the tools that I had given her to help her. She just automatically started doing them. And it was like something she was carrying just got lighter. And it just felt like her new normal, which is what we talk about a lot too, right? And this is exactly what I want to give you a taste of this week. Actually, tomorrow, isn't it tomorrow? Yes, it is. It is tomorrow is the workshop. So I'm super excited to personally invite you to this free live workshop. Tomorrow, March 24th, 7 p.m. Eastern. And I love sharing this content with you. This workshop is called Why Willpower Doesn't Work with Money and What Actually Does. And actually, willpower doesn't work with any of our goals that we want to attain. But when people think about money, they think that they can create a new budget They can get a second job. They can do these different things and everything will be fine, which you can only pace for a little bit and make a change. But if who you believe you are, your beliefs about money don't change, whatever gains you've made, you will lose. And that's just the way it works. Because remember, your subconscious mind's only goal is to keep you safe. And maybe you don't like being broke. And I did a live yesterday in one of the groups, and it was all about the terminology that people interchange, broke and poor, and how they're not the same at all. Broke is a circumstance that anybody can change. Poor is claiming that as who you are. So I don't know if you're a person that uses those terms interchangeably, but if that's the case, stop. Because your subconscious mind, when you say, I'm poor, and I'm not saying that any of you do that, but I have been talking to quite a few people, and some of those people use those words. They're not meaning to do anything, but it's just part of who they are. And that's what your subconscious says and does and reacts to when you make that statement of being poor, especially when you say, I am ahead of it. It just takes a deep breath and says, okay, that's who we are. Let's make sure that there's no way out of this. That's why generation after generation after generation can be poor and never making ends meet. Maybe they struggle terribly bad. And it's not because it's genetic, it's because they have given each other that framework of that's who they are. And when that's who you think you are, opportunities may be all around you, but you won't feel one of them. People may want to reach out to you and help you, but they won't do it for long, and half the time you will repel it in some way. And money is one of the places that our subconscious program runs the deepest. The stories we inherited about what we deserve, what's possible, what people like us get to have, just like the word poor. All of that's happening down in the 5%, right? The 95%, I'm sorry. And no amount of budgeting or hustle is going to touch them. So in this workshop tomorrow, we're going to talk about why, and then we're going to actually do a live hypnosis experience together. So you don't just understand this intellectually, because how many classes have you taken? How many books have you read? How many things have you done? And you understand it. You read it all. You listen to it. You understand it. And then you make this declaration, I'm going to make this work. But that's what we're going to get past. Not just so that you understand this intellectually, but you'll actually feel the shift. The workshop, it's free, it's live, and it could genuinely change the way you relate to money. And not only money, but yourself. So I'm going to put the link in the comments, and once we get off here, so you can find it really easily. And then in some places you can look in my bio. I think it's in my bio right now too, the workshop. So if you don't see it wherever you're watching this at, if you don't see it in the comments, which I'm going to really work to make sure I get it into those comments. But if you don't, look in my bio, grab the link. It's a Google form. You just fill that out. Then you're signed up for the workshop, because I will be sending out an email either this evening or tomorrow morning, which will have the Zoom link and everything, because I'm telling you, it can be life-changing. And I would love to see you there. Ah, wonderful, Ellen. Wonderful. Speaking of money, that's the lady that knows about money too, right? So before I let you go, I just want to say this. If you've been hard on yourself for not following through, for knowing better and still staying stuck, or maybe for feeling like everyone else has figured something out that you haven't, give yourself some grace. You haven't been failing. You've been fighting your own operating system with the wrong tools. Now you know there's another way. So if you're, I would love to see you at the workshop. Go ahead and get signed up today. And then that way you will have your spot, and you'll get the email with the link, and you'll be there. And if this meant something to you today, if you could feel it, that that's something that you wanted to do, share this with someone who needs to hear it. And I'll see you tomorrow night. And remember, life is delicious. Make sure to savor each and every bite. And I'll see you tomorrow. Mwah. Love you guys.